What I think is amazing, though, is that mindset is learned, because I think that young children.
Exactly.
My son, he's 2.
Exactly.
He is going to talk to anybody that he sees. He doesn't. He doesn't know any difference. It's just there's a human that person looks like me. I bet we can. Right. I bet this person's going to love my shirt. Like that's right. That's all it is.
That's right.
But then somehow, whenever you get older, that can kind of be seeped from you.
But that's what I always go back to, that even when people are not as kind to me.
You might not see it in the mirror, but ooh, it's never been clearer to me.
Welcome to the Act Out Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Tomlin. Before we begin, I need you to like, share, and subscribe. Don't really have time to play today because the person that I talked to in today's episode, we didn't really play around in our conversation either, although we did have a few laughs. I actually got to sit down with, I want to read this so I get it right, the 2025 Phenomenal Women's Community Service Award winner, Erica Wright. Erica, congratulations, first of all. Erica is the founder and CEO of Project You First. That's an organization that for the past 10 years has given out blankets, hygiene materials, and socks to homeless shelters, to foster care homes, and also to schools in low-income areas. Erica and I got deep on a lot of subjects. We talked about the importance of dignity in order to move forward. We talked about mental health issues, talked about needing to take care of yourself first, LGBTQ plus issues, race issues. We got really deep, but we also had a really good time doing it. Today's environment feels pretty overwhelming, especially now with SNAP benefits running out. There's so many of our fellow neighbors that are hurting, and it can almost feel paralyzing. So if you need to feel maybe a sense of hope, or to feel inspired, or if you need to feel a little bit of empowerment, then watch Erica, because her journey will motivate you like no other. Erica, thank you so much for sitting down with me. And let's roll the tape. Erica, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
We got to talk a little bit before the cameras were rolling, and then I immediately regretted it. I was like, oh, these cameras need to be rolling now. Like, Erica's got a good story here. So,
well, I appreciate that. We can revisit that. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Now, are you originally from Atlanta?
I am. I call myself an original peach.
So
born and raised in Atlanta.
So one of those, like, which hospital were you born in?
I was not born in Grady like most people, but most of my siblings, I am the youngest of 4. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, when I came along, they went to St. Joseph.
That was one of my friends. Whenever I was in college, I went to school in Oglethorpe, mm-hmm. and he was like, "You can always tell a native Atlantan because they don't say I'm from Atlanta. They say what hospital they were born in."
That's right. I'm a Grady baby. That's what they usually say.
And so, how was it growing up in Atlanta?
Oh my God, it was pretty cool. Other than not having a beach, as I got older, I realized I would love to live by the water. But hey, again, I'm the youngest of 4. Went to Harper High School, played basketball, ran track. 2 loving parents that have been together for 67 years.
Oh, wow.
It's like, I don't know if I could do that, but okay. Have 1 brother and 2 sisters, and we were really a strong village. We lost our mom last year to pancreatic cancer, but we had her for 87 years, right?
Yeah.
But I think my community taught us family.
Okay.
Family structure. When we talk about village, I didn't know outside the village of all the things that I learned as I got older, like, the drug scene and all of those things, because a close-knit community, family oriented, it was just home for us.
How do you define family?
Now at this age and all the things that I've gone through, I find family in what I call support.
Okay.
And support can look differently in any family. Even as we've gotten older and everybody has gone their own direction, support just mean, hey, can you help me change a tire today? And if my brother can come by and do that, that's support. That's love, right? I find support in community as I started doing work with the homeless section,
Mhm.
unhoused community. That looks like sometimes they support me more than I support them.
Hmm.
It could be we're doing sack lunches today. We can go out, pray for people, give them what we have. And before I leave, someone has touched my heart. Someone has prayed for me. Someone has, thanked us in
Yeah.
gratitude for just being here. So I think support really, and when people say live in the moment,
Hmm.
it is that definition of that. Wherever you are in your village, small, big, or large, that's support.
What do you think it was about the Unhoused that like really touched your heart and like kind of made you feel like that was the avenue that you wanted to make a difference?
Well, I'll be honest. It didn't happen. I always tell people, don't start a nonprofit the way I did. I found myself at 45 years old. I am 57 now. 56. I'm sorry, I'm pushing it up.
Yeah, don't be adding
know,
age.
add it
No,
up.
yeah.
But I found myself at 45 in my mom's back room. I worked in the barbershop for over 35 years,
Mhm.
right? So I'm cutting this guy's hair and we're talking. And I said, it's more to life than this, right? And so he said, Erica, be careful what you ask for. I was like, okay, cool. Went on. So this particular Saturday night, I'm in just really a low place.
Mhm.
I've been diagnosed with bipolar 1, anxiety, OCD. I say, you got a list, I'm on it. But and then I didn't really understand how all of those things were affecting my life, right?
Mhm.
So before good therapy and before medication, I'm just out here like a loose cannon,
Yeah,
so to
yeah.
speak. So as I am at church, I went to Victory for the World Church at this time, and it was Sunday school. And the topic that morning was, what's your purpose? So the microphone came around, and all those community and support and family was great. In school, I was shy. I would sit
Mhm.
in the back, didn't want to ask any questions. So when the mic came, I'm thinking, oh, I don't want to talk. But I remember this lady under the bridge as I was taking my son to school, and she was washing her hair. She had like a gallon of water, and it was actually cool that morning. So you could see the steam coming from her head,
Mhm.
and it just came out. It was like, if I had an opportunity, I would help women clean up.
Mhm.
And that's just how it started. So the next Sunday, a lady I didn't even know, I had been at church for like 3 years and never saw her, but she was in Sunday school class. She said, can I see you after church? I was like, sure. And I'm thinking, what does she want? Like, I don't want to talk. But I got to her car and she had a crate. And it had washcloths, toothbrush, toothpaste, sanitary napkins, anything that you could think of
Mhm.
in the hygiene area. And I was like, wow, okay. So I remember seeing United Way do their hygiene boxes, right?
Yeah.
So I said, well, I'm gonna make some boxes and we're gonna put them in the church. And I'm always that type of person. Like if I think of something, I'm just gonna do it, right? And we'll figure out the rest later. So I put them in the church pantry. I come by every Sunday. I'm excited. And they're not moving. And I'm thinking, like, isn't the purpose to give is to
Yeah.
give the box out? So one day I was driving, I had the boxes in my car, and I saw a guy on the side of the road, who wasn't quite clean and had a sign, and gave him, I took the items out of the box because I'm thinking, like, what is he gonna do with the box?
Yeah.
And so I put it in a bag and I gave it to him. And when he told me his story, I got in my car and I wept. I sat there for like 30 minutes. And I'm thinking, wow.
Mhm.
How many people have I passed on the street? Always done well for myself. Like,
Mhm.
wow, Erica, really? And so I got a couple of friends together and we came out the next Saturday because I'm like, hey, let's go do something. And we put sack lunches together, hygiene kits, anything that I could collect.
Mhm.
We did it. And back in the day, there was Cortland and Pine, which was one of the largest shelters in the city of Atlanta. And people would kind of congregate outside. So we just went out.
Mhm.
No structure, no plan, just boom. So we took a couple tables, set up, and we served. And from there on, I was like, this is my purpose. This
Mhm.
is it. I don't care what I'm doing. I want to do this. And it wasn't so much about the sack lunches or the hygiene
Yeah.
kits. It was the stories. There were people who were doctors and teachers and secretaries and just everyday life stories that we heard, hey, I lost my job. Hey, my husband left me. I lost my ID. I'm from LA and I couldn't get into this place because of that. And it was those stories. And I'm thinking, I'm that kid from that community and I didn't see all of that, but I'm thinking, but this is America. Like, this is the greatest place on earth and we help people, right? So I couldn't understand how a city this large that we had so many people out on the street.
Yeah.
And then as I started to do the work, I started seeing the politics side of it, the citizen side of it. And so I do have empathy for all of those areas, but I still feel that we can be doing more. So it led me on a lot of different pathways to doing this work.
So you touched on a lot of things there, but one of the first things that came to my mind. So one of my favorite classes that I ever took in college was from Montgomery to Memphis, the political evolution of Martin Luther King, and one of the we would read some of his like sermons and speeches and stuff, and he gave a sermon called "The Three Dimensions of a Complete Life." And in those, he talked about the height of life, the breadth of life, and the depth of life.
That's right.
And so the height of life was how well you had a relationship with a higher power.
That's right.
The breadth of life is what you were doing for the community, to help out, to give out that love.
That's right.
And then the depth of life was how well you knew yourself.
That's right.
So I just, whenever, as you were going through all those, that was the absolute first thing that came to my mind.
And
but
that is true too.
And
all components.
Don't get me started on Dr. King. I'm a big fan of him. And another thing, I want to brag on you for a little bit. Yeah. So most people have to feel something before they actually see it.
That's right.
But it doesn't seem like that was the case for you. You happened to to see the lady that was having to wash her hair. Why do you think that she resonated with you?
I go back to my childhood.
Okay.
When I was 9 years old, I remember riding in the back of a car. We had one of those long station wagons with the wood panel on the side.
We called ours the green machine.
Okay, the green machine. So we had one, and I remember looking at the tall trees, and my dad's driving, and we're going fast on the highway, and I'm looking up at the trees, and I realized that, hey, this is something larger than life, right? Couldn't put my hand on it, didn't know what it was, but. And I'm thinking, well, if a tree could be that big and we plant little seeds in the ground. So I'm that kid, right? I'm just always somewhere else, right? And so some would say weird.
A mustard seed, if you will.
That part. So I would say I'm weird. And I take that because being weird and all of those things, if people want to use those words to identify with, is what led me to come outside of Erica, step outside to see the humanity in other people, right? And so what I've learned is when I can do that, and the results of it is prayerfully that someone else would touch someone else's life. So I'm always thinking the domino effect. What could the world actually be if everyone really did their part? So, we're not just talking about those who are unhoused. We have kids that have disabilities and veterans. I mean, there are so many sectors. But if we think about if everybody just do a little small part, the world could definitely be a better place. So if I can use myself and take all of the things that I have going on outside, like everybody else, paying bills and etc., but do this one small thing. And again, even when I started doing the work, we did everything. We had clothes and shoes and food. And then the Spirit would say, hey, I didn't tell you to do that. I asked you to start with this one thing. And then as we do this, we can grow to something else. And so I would always encourage people, I know you want to help, but do what's in your capacity. Because even in that, when I did the work, I ended up becoming homeless myself.
Okay.
So, those are a few little nuggets that I would say. But I would always come back to just say, taking myself outside of Erica
Yeah.
and seeing what other people's needs are. Because that's one thing I learned about doing the work. A lot of times we like to give people what we want them to have.
Mm-hmm.
But there is this thing called a need. And I think we often forget about it. Like,
Yes.
I need to eat today. So let's just do some food, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know we talk about nutrition, but we talk about price hikes. So,
Yeah.
but if I can do maybe a sandwich and a bottle of water, that's the bread of life today, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you need to wash your hands and be able to clean up so you can present yourself to the world, let me give you a bar of soap and a washcloth. So it's just the small things that I've tried to do to help people on their journey so that they can go out and be successful.
Do you think that people, you were saying earlier that, like at first you were doing the clothes and the hygiene, you were doing everything. Do you think that was kind of partly because like of the scope, the size and the scope of the problem?
Mm-hmm.
And did it feel overwhelming?
Oh, very overwhelming.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, even doing work, you realize, because when you start something, you think, oh my God, like I worked in a barbershop for 30 years. I know everybody in the city of Atlanta and they're going to help me. And that was not the case.
Yeah.
That was not the case. So in essence, I was out and I was digging in my closet and digging in somebody else's closet. And then even when I did go out, that need wasn't pretty much it's summertime. I don't need a coat, but I could use a pullover because I need to walk 5 miles down the road to get to XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
But I could use a book bag, not really a luggage. So it was those small things. But then outside of that, you begin to listen. You begin to listen not only to their stories, but you begin to listen to what the need is. And then also, I use social media.
Mm-hmm.
That was my biggest platform because, again, when you're starting something, I always said I didn't have any money, blueprint, and I did not know what I was doing. So what I did...
Same with the podcast, actually. Yeah, okay.
I love it.
I think you and I went to the same business
that's
school.
That's right, but here we are, right?
Yeah.
And so what I did, I used social media as my friend, and I would post... we went out today, not to exploit people. A lot of big nonprofits, It's funny how they can put, I think it's the ones like when the kids are really sick in other countries.
Have Sarah McLachlan playing
and
I
so,
will remember
and it pulls on your heartstring, right?
Oh, yeah.
But as soon as you post a young man with no shoes on, or he's standing in a long line to get my bologna sandwich, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're exploiting the people, right? But I don't have the funding. So for me, it was like, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep posting because while you're at home in the comfort of your own home, you can go into your refrigerator and grab a bottle of water. They don't have that luxury. So I need to learn how to fight a different fight because no matter how many letters I'm sending out, they're all coming back. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Miss Wright. But we've given out for the year, right? And so that was another fight, right? How do I help? How do I get the resources that I need? And then how do I bring the people along with me? Mm-hmm. And people like to come out. They love to put the bags together and they like to, hey, we did a great thing. But the behind the scenes of, gathering and stuff, is it clean? What do we discard? I'll call you back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, and that's where you really have to, if this is for you, you go all in,
Right, yeah.
I'm up at 4:00 in the morning sometime in the warehouse and I'm packing up the van and I'm doing things that CEOs don't really do. But it's no better feeling to do that because at the end of the day, when we leave, it's going to help someone.
My grandmother always said that a leader is a servant at heart.
Right. Servant
and it seems like that's how you lead. Can you talk a little bit about the kind of the transition of the mindset from feeling like I have got to do everything because this problem is so big to where you are now, where it's about that ripple or it's about that domino? How can you kind of explain, how your thought process was able to change?
Well, you caught me on the right day. It's funny because, even being diagnosed, it is a part of who I am. Mm-hmm. And before that, again, the stigma of not going to therapy and growing up in a Black household, it wasn't talked about, kind of and well, something's wrong. And he was like, yeah, so we
Keep
need
that
to talk
deep
up.
down
Yeah, we need to.
dive. Yeah.
Can we talk about it so I can tell my therapist what I experienced, right? And so now I'm able to say those words. I'm able to embrace it. I'm able to talk about medication.
Yeah.
And it also it shines a light on, again, the people that we see on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Not just a person with a sign, but a person who may be having a conversation with themselves, as we assume that they are. We don't know really, but for me, that goes back to our conversation about what do you do, right? So if truth be told, and all the beautiful trees that are as tall as they are, being realistic, we can have what we want to have because this is America, right? So we should have mobility every day for someone to go and check on someone who's not quite in the place that they need to be. I understand we have laws and you just can't take a person off the street, but what can we do? Can we exercise every day at a certain time? We're going to go talk to this young lady that we've noticed that's on the side of the road. We're going to have this conversation, right? And so what I've learned is I need to take care of Erica first.
Yes.
I didn't always do that. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
And there were times when people always say, well, how did you become homeless doing the work? I wasn't healthy. So I didn't have a healthy relationship with my family. Nothing against them, because a lot of people don't realize, even people who have mental illness, if there's not, when we say wraparound services, it's not just food, water, medication. It is family. It is the village. Well, Erica's not well. Do they know I'm not well? Because I can hide it very well, right? And so in doing that, it's dangerous on my part.
Yeah.
And it's also leaving them not knowing what's going on until I'm actually in crisis. And so to lead an organization, to do the work, have a part-time job, have a family, son and grandkids and all of those, it is a lot, right? And so, but one of the things that I'll say, and I say it often, that has kept me alive is doing the work with the people. Because I feel like not just the tangible items that we're giving, the conversations, the nudge. Oh, I saw you last week. You were smiling. What's going on today? Just having those thoughtful engagement conversations with those who are on the street will align to the next conversation that, oh my God, is that you? What happened? Oh, I got help today, Erica. I went and, I had something to drink. I got some water. I connected with an organization. Now I'm living, those are the stories that I hear to say, Erica, you know what? You're doing a great job. So maybe it's not encouragement from someone else. Maybe people see the fluff and the beautiful things that we're doing, the numbers. Oh, you guys did 1,000 bags. That's great. But that conversation, when someone told me, hey, we were able to get this person off the street. Oh, hey, Erica, this person is moving on. That's what helps me keep going, because now I'm helping someone else keep going.
I'm going to have to get on to you now.
I got you.
You were making too many good points, and I'm like, all right, well, no, I want to say something of this, I want to say something of this. But I think one thing that was very interesting was that whenever you kind of lost sight on like taking care of yourself was whenever things kind of fell apart and you weren't able to help other people.
That's right.
As well. So I think that like one of the most important things, and you touched on that, you gotta take care of yourself first.
That's right.
But it seems like once you're able to take care of yourself and do the work for yourself,
that's right,
you're able to do a whole lot more for other people.
Exactly.
And another thing, you made like 49 points, but
I love it.
What I love about what you were saying at the end is that it's not about handing out, you get a toothbrush, get a toothbrush, like you're like you're Timu Oprah or something.
Right.
But it's hey Adam, I saw you last week, and you were, you looked a little happier, or it's something. What you're doing there is you're showing that you care.
I care.
And because I know that a lot of times when someone is in that position, unhoused, they have no sense of worth.
That's right.
in themselves.
That's right.
And they assume that no one else cares about them either. And I mean, like if I were in that position, I would probably think that same way
Exactly.
too. I mean, I'm in the richest country in the world,
Yes.
and here I am on a street corner, and no one's even like
That's
saying,
right.
"Hey, man, are you okay?"
That's right.
Like, so I understand where that mindset comes from, and it's something as simple as, "Hey, I see you."
I see you.
That does more probably to get someone off the
That's right.
street than handing out toothbrushes.
That's right. Because people are resilient.
Mhm.
Even I had just been gifted a office space on Peachtree several years ago to help run the organization. And again, when I ended up losing my health care, lost my job, and all of that goes into a deeper story. So
Well, funny enough,
Well,
we're on a
okay.
podcast. So.
and so, well, I'll say it like this: some would say I quit, some would say I left. I'll
Mhm.
put it this way: there was just a disconnect, right?
Okay.
But I often go back to those days, and I still say I was not healthy,
Mhm.
right? Healthy.
Had you been diagnosed at that
I
point?
did. I was.
But you didn't quite know what the diagnosis
I
meant
did not
for
want
you.
to accept it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's a hard pill to swallow
Mhm.
too, because we always want to feel like we're healthy. You know, I've always done well for myself. I've
Mhm.
always taken care of myself. And now you want to tell me this is what's wrong? But I would tell you one example when I realized that, okay, doc, you might be onto something. We were in a barbershop one day, and the guys always, it's just back and forth every day about something, right? So two guys got into it about a football game. So I chime in, right? And I'm thinking, all right. So I go home, and I thought all night about what I was going to say the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And when we got back and I'm ready for the argument, and it was like, Erica, we're not talking about that. We've moved on. And so it made me realize when the doctor pointed things out to me
Mhm.
that these are signs. But I had a light bulb moment. Oh,
Mhm.
you're right. And then I had to go back. I had to go a little further. And I thought, because that was one of the diagnoses. I have been clinically depressed
Mhm.
pretty much my whole life. Although I grew up in this beautiful household,
Mhm.
I had my sister that's between us. We're 5 years apart, very close. But when she went to high school, I was in elementary school. When she went to college, I was in high school. So basically, I was the only child.
Oh, okay.
And my parents were a little older. So they were
Yeah.
like, get your homework done.
Yeah.
And so, you know, again, but that comes with therapy, research,
Mhm.
speaking to individual, having good friends who listen to you. And so all of that goes into now saying, this is enough. I've had to take a month off. I've had to clear the calendar.
Mhm.
No outreach this month because I'm running, I'm doing, and I need to take care of Erica.
Yeah.
You know, I would love to be one of those CEOs that can say, hey guys, you know, take 20 of the vans and go out and do this work today. But unfortunately, we're not there yet.
Mhm.
But then also, I don't think I want to be that kind of CEO. I would love to continue to be out on the ground because I cannot relate if I'm not there,
Yeah.
right? You
Mhm.
know, I want to be able to go out and still have the conversations and listen to the stories, because doing the work out of 10 years, we came up with so many different projects, right?
Mhm.
We're working on one now for the Youth First Kids bus, purchase a school bus.
Okay.
This is because we saw women sleeping in the cars with their kids. They can't really go to school and say, hey, I'm in the car. I
Right.
got 2 kids. Can you help me? Right. Even though there's a lot of resources throughout the year, especially at public schools. You can get, you know, the wraparound services that you
Mhm.
need within the school. But that gives you also the chance of them taking your kids away.
Right.
So
Yeah.
a lot of times people are like, nah, I'm not going to expose this.
Yeah.
So we noticed that also there are families and individuals who are living in extended stay motels. So in doing the work, you should really start pulling the cover back to seeing, you know, there are people who have vouchers that are waiting to get into housing, but until then they have to have somewhere to stay. So we'll put them up in the extended stay motel. In a extended stay motel, you may not even have a refrigerator.
Mhm.
So you have kids who are catching the bus in the morning, maybe haven't had breakfast, maybe not have a pair of socks or deodorant, etc. So our thought was, what can we do to help in that process? We noticed some schools have care closets. One of the things I wanted to do was go in and build care closets, but our pocket's not that long, right? So again, this is where you stay in your lane and you do the things that you can do. So if you have a little small space, we can help you create it. If not, if you have one that's already ready, we'll donate to. So that's one of our projects up under the You First Kids project. We bought a school bus. I am really, when you say a higher power, when God gives me something, I go with it. Had a dream about a school bus, had a guy who made a donation, bought a school bus, right?
Yeah.
So renovating the school bus now so we can be in the community, especially during the summertime when kids are not getting food, clothing, hydration, and all of those things that I said, oh, I don't want to do all those things. Now we're able to stock up on a few things that we didn't have before.
Yeah.
And now we have a space to put them in. So again, it's just doing the work, finding where you can fit in, doing that little part, but that little part is huge to someone else.
Well, let's talk a little bit, let's go a little bit deeper in your little part. I'm putting that in air quotes because I actually think that makes a much bigger difference. But can you kind of touch on a little bit, like why the importance of like, just like cleaning supplies or, sanitary products? Like, why is that important? Like, why not buy them a house?
Well, I have OCD. So everybody knows me. No, I'm better now. I'm a lot better than I used to be. I was real germaphobe. So seeing that young lady wash her hair under the bridge, it did something to me, even though it didn't come out till years later. But I couldn't imagine being a woman under the bridge, especially that time of the month. What do you do? So it just kind of made me dive deeper into everyday life. How did I feel when I was going through and I didn't have everything that I needed? Yeah. Right. And one thing I did that came to me was when I did have what I needed, I was able to thrive and do some things. And I had a notebook and a pencil paper and I could, jot some things down. So any little thing that I go back and think about is a marker to helping someone else, right? So I think the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things that I saw in LA, I had an opportunity to go to LA and see Skid Row. Broke my heart, right?
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And so I'm in the McDonald's and I noticed that the restrooms had a lock on it. Didn't really understand why, but I realized they didn't want them in the facility. So you have to have a code to go to the restroom. Yeah. But I'm thinking people are just not going to the restroom to go to the restroom. They're going to the restroom so they can clean up and make sure the little piece of hair is okay. So now I can come out and present myself to the world. And so preferably the world will accept me back. So before I can get into a house, if I walked into Kelly Williams, I'm not presentable. She's not going to take me serious as to wanting a house or even thinking I can afford the house, right? And so it's those little things, especially the dignity with the schools. That's why we're so a little focused on that area right now, is because we see the bullying, we see the acceptance, and then it just does something to your psyche that, especially someone who may be having mental challenges anyway. And just sometimes when we go out, if we have a little extra, maybe some lip balm, some wipes or something that we may not always, have in our arsenal, it's like, oh my God, like this is really cool. And you can start seeing people putting on socks. Thank you, Bombas. but you see people utilizing what you're able to give them. And then you can only imagine where that is going to lead them. So,
So growing up, I told you kind of off camera, I grew up in a very rural town and it was very conservative. And I myself was conservative until about the financial recession. And whenever it affected my pocket, I was like, oh, okay, wait, never mind, I need to change. I wasn't quite as good as you where I could just, conceptualize the hurt. But a common refrain was, if you saw someone that was unhoused, why don't you get a job? You don't give them a handout. You need to give them a job.
That's right.
But you kind of touch on this with the house thing. If they aren't clean and they don't look like, they're not going to be they're not going to be taken seriously in the first place. But there's also something about being clean.
That's right.
That it does to you.
That's right.
And it helps your mental well-being. One of the first things to think about, one of the first things you do, if you're like, I want to, it's time to get up and be a badass.
That's right.
You're gonna get cleaned up.
That's right.
More than likely.
That's right.
And so I think that is a hugely important first step. Mm-hmm. And once again, it's also showing that you care, and that person's like, so they've got the basic things where they can get clean and they can do something for themselves.
That's right.
And they also have the knowledge of like, hey, like Erica saw me last week and she thought about me enough to where she came back and then she gave me something. That's right. So I think like just those two things right there probably do more than anything else.
It does. I call it hope.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people don't like to use that word. But
man, that would be a really good slogan for a presidential campaign in like 2008,
I agree. And that's also something that I've often thought about. We do so much in other places. And I've been blessed to be able to travel abroad. Mm-hmm. And being unhoused is not new. It's everywhere, right? Mm-hmm. But I mean, you just can't grow up in America and not think about our people.
Yeah.
And I know I saw Pharrell, I'm sorry.
He's a Virginia Beach guy, so I thought you were like tying it back to me.
Will Smith's son.
Oh yeah, Jaden?
Jaden.
Yeah.
He has a food truck in LA for free to serve. And they're, of course, healthy options, right? Which is great.
Yeah.
What is stopping us from the simple things? You know how much
the trust fund, probably in that case.
But no, I'm saying what's stopping us because we throw so much away.
Yeah.
I mean, I clean out my closet often. You always hear if you don't wear it in a year, and it's something just to have a clean t-shirt because we've heard so many stories. I had a guy tell me one time, he said, one night on the street would change your life forever. And that's another thing people don't think about. It's not just, we see them all the time. It is your whole mood, everything changes in your life. I slept on my floor for about 6 months in my office. A person who has OCD goes into the bathroom and stand on the back of their shoes to put, at the time my hair was long, to put their long hair in a public sink.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you have no idea what that did, right? So to not have a sink, to not have a restroom to use in, to not have the dignity of just having a shade to change your clothes, to be able to wipe and clean up is a whole different conversation, right? So when I can gather 5 t-shirts, someone who may have a print shop and they say, hey, Erica, we got a t-shirt. The letter might be, I'll take them. We'll take them, to see someone again, Bombas just gave us 60,000 pairs of socks.
Oh, wow.
When I tell you they stand behind what they say, we get those socks and we give them out. When you see somebody take their shoes off and put those socks on, like, that's what humanity is.
Yeah.
And these are people who are likely to get back into society, pay taxes, and help make the world go round.
Yes.
So why would we not invest in the love and compassion into that? Just like right now. And so what really kind of gave us a little light was during the pandemic. We were out serving. I told my friend, I said, well, my mom said don't come over there. So, I'm single, I'm at home. I was like, I'll make a couple sandwiches. Just you trust me, let's go. We got our masks, we made sandwiches, and our friends were out there. And they were like, thanks for coming, Erica. Like nobody's been here. What's going on? They didn't even know because everything just shut down. People just left.
Yeah.
And the sad part, even the little sandwiches that the people at City Hall probably ate and threw in there, they're not there anymore. So we saw people fighting over the trash can because there's no food.
Yeah.
And so what got me was I'm watching the news every night and they were like, hey, if you need a food box, come to the church. Drive around in the church and pick up a food box. And I was like, but what about the people who can't drive? They have like no transportation. Like, what are we doing for them? And so I know people died. I don't have a number, but we do know people died, not just from the virus. But I will say this, there are a lot of people who did not. There are a lot of people every week when we went back, as much as I could keep getting supplies and financial support, we kept going back. Bottled water, wash your hands. We gave them a little bit of bars of soap, wash your hands, right? And so Channel 2 picked it up, did a story. I was serving out of my Honda Civic. And Tyler Perry called me and he was like, hey, and I heard his voice and I was like, I just bust out crying. And he said, what are you crying for? And I was like, Tyler Perry. So I missed the punchline. The punchline was I called to see how it can help. But I was so but we talked about the van. He of course shared his experience and very, very awesome guy. And again, this is just someone who saw what we were trying to do. Yeah. Not what we thought about doing, not what we wrote about, not what we kind of threw out in the atmosphere. It's like, no, she's out there doing it, and I'm thinking, if I got, a little bit more of this and a little more, like, this is what I really could do. And so we got a van from Tyler Perry. So I am just that person. I am going to keep fighting. I am going to do the best. I have committed my life to doing this work. It's not easy. Sometimes people think, oh, you got a van from Tyler Perry. You must know Tyler Perry. You must have a whole lot of money. And, that's not true. Yeah. The guy did a great job. He did it. He did what he said he was going to do, and we're grateful for it. Now we have to keep going. But there's so many nonprofits that are doing great work, right? Then that's that whole politics. Hey, what if we got together, right?
Is there a sense of collaboration with the nonprofits, or is it almost like a kind of like turf war, so to speak? Like, stay in your lane. We're doing this.
I don't think I've witnessed a turf war. I have witnessed a lot. So in the 10 years. So what I've learned is, again, when you start something, you think, oh, everybody's going to call me. And it did for a moment, right? And then, of course, is that go back to that stigma. Well, it seemed like I seen the same people that you served last week. Oh, these are mostly Black men that are standing in line. Don't see a lot of women and kids, so like, why are we helping men? It's a whole lineage of why these men are out on the street. Some have been incarcerated, have records, and can't get a job. Some don't have birth certificates, ID. And we have a big, big population of, I call it state shift hopping, where states will move you from one, they'll put them on a plane, a train, and they'll ship them somewhere else. As a matter of fact, we were in Hawaii doing work. In Hawaii, talked to a guy on the beach. He said, you can't see them, but they're up there in the mountains. And LA, we'll just use LA because we know that's closer. Right. They're bringing them over and dropping them off. How are you going to get back? Can't swim it. And so where was our last? I can't remember. I want to say Portland. Say Erica, just
war ravaged Portland.
Just sending them over. So San Diego, same thing. They give them $20, put them on the train, and a lot of times, if you've been in a cold climate, you want to go to the beach. You might get that hot dog out of that trash can, take a shower at the little shower thing on the beach, and you're good to go, right? So it's so many things that, like I've seen it, done the work. We drove cross country twice. People think we're crazy. So it's like, but when I have a thought, I'm thinking, let me go see. Yeah. So we can come back and talk about it. I wanted to do a documentary on it. Like, I saw in Arizona during the pandemic, they use parking spaces. They use a big parking lot. They put everybody in a parking space. So you bring your bicycle, your buggy, your tent, and this is your space. So now you have apartment 306, right?
Mhm.
They had water towers for showers. They had sink bowls and porta potties. Now you can assess. You can get your counselors to come in. You can go around. Hey, Mr. Johnson, let's talk about it. What's going on with you? Now can't help everyone, but
Mhm.
you have everyone in one place. So that has just been my like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
But again, that goes back to some politics of it. We have a task force. This is what we are doing.
Mhm.
We believe we don't need, like, even now in the city of Atlanta, we don't need an emergency shelter, Erica. We want to get people right off the streets and into housing. Again, I was on the floor for 6 months. When I got my apartment, I slept on the floor.
Mhm.
Caseworker would come over, Erica, why are you on the floor? I don't know, you have a bed. But that's what I was used to. It took me time to adjust.
Mhm.
So this is why I believe we need an emergency shelter. Most of the shelters in Atlanta are privately ran.
Okay.
So if you have a shelter that only houses men, where do the women go?
Mhm.
What happens in the middle of the night if you have a domestic violence situation? What do I run to? So again, how much do you want to fight, Erica? You want to go down to City Hall every day and take your 3 minutes to
Mhm.
stand in for the city council to tell them all of your thoughts? Or do you want to just keep packing your bags, praying that one day, someone really hears your story and say, you know what, you got some great ideas. Let's see how we can kind of come together
Mhm.
and then bring some of the other organizations. So if this group is doing clothing and you're doing food, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're doing showers, it just makes sense. Just put us all together. But then I watch social media and I say, oh, they had an event over last week. Nobody called. Nobody called me. So you pick your battles. You
Mhm.
do what you can do, and then you pray and have hope that one day that world that you want to see
Mhm.
will come together.
Why do you think that an emergency shelter is necessary versus the city's plan of just giving them a house or getting them in house as soon as possible?
You need both.
Mm.
You definitely need both. And a lot of times, just like the young man said, you live one day out on the street, you're gonna have issues, right? And when we talk about wraparound services, we can talk about the mental illness component.
What is wraparound services?
Wraparound services is your basics, your food, your clothing, your health items, medication, counseling, all of those things.
Mm.
And I'll just be transparent and talk about my story,
Yeah.
right? So as I was diagnosed, I was going to Kaiser. I had a great therapist. Psychologist had my meds. Everything was good. I was in a great space financially, so I ate decent.
Mhm.
There were deserts where I lived at that particular time, food deserts, so I could go and get some great fruit if I wanted, some vegetables and everything, right? When I had my experience, I ended up living in a certain part of the city where there's only a Walmart that's really small
Mhm.
that only have like 2 little rows of vegetables and they don't look that great, right? So now I have to figure out what I'm going to eat.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when your mind is racing, you're not thinking, let me drive over here and get a couple of vegetables. You're
Right.
like, I'll just eat the fast food. I'll
Yeah.
just grab a bag of chips. I'll get a Coca-Cola, right? That's not good, right? But we do it.
Mhm.
So I was I had an event and it was beautiful. Big event. We had clothes, we had everything, about 60 volunteers. And I was very private. So only a few people knew my situation.
Mhm.
So a lady came up and the spirit was like, tell her you're sleeping on the floor. And I'm thinking, I will not. I will not. So I said, ma'am, I don't want to scare you. I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I'm kind of unhoused right now. I'm living in my office and I wasn't supposed to be up there anyway. I'm going to the bathroom at night and looking around the corner and I'm laughing because one night I went up there, the guy, he was going to the bathroom and he's like, what you doing here? I was like, what you doing here? But it was, that was how real it was. So
Mhm.
she said, I work for Grady. I said, wow. She said, I work for Grady Behavior Health. I said, ah. So I told her, she said, give me a minute. She made a phone call. Next thing you know, I had a whole group of people around me to help me to get to the next step and the next step. And I knew it was nothing but God, because at the end of the day, I knew what I knew, but I didn't know that part of it. So now I'm getting every step of the way. I was starting to get a little bit more knowledge of this. And so when you talk about wraparound services, I was seeing it firsthand.
Yeah.
Okay, so if this is the first person I'm talking to, then they're going to talk to this person. Then you're going to talk to that person. The problem, which I think is problematic, and where the discord between the city and the people on the street, because I will give the city, I'll give them an A, maybe B plus, that they are trying. Okay, I do see that. I think where the discord comes in, if you don't know what you're dealing with, that's what's problematic. So you have people who are with the pen and saying, well, I have 30 units, so we're going to take these 30 people.
Yeah.
But if this person goes to Grady and they're telling them, okay, Ms. Wright, I see you taking this, and this. I'm going to put you on some lithium. Hold on 1 minute. Let me get my phone. I'm not taking lithium. Right?
You're right.
But what about the person who can't get that phone, who can't read that lithium and understand the side effects and so on and so forth? And so when I say I'm not taking that, they're like, well, what did you take? This is what I took. I took Abilify and I took clorazepam and blah, blah, blah. Oh, we don't give that. And why not? Because we're a state-ran hospital and we're grant-based and we can't give, these are narcotics, right?
Oh, okay.
And I said, oh, okay. But I'm not taking lithium,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, I don't really want to take it like an Energizer battery, you know?
Exactly. So, but what did I do? I kept fighting for myself. And I said, listen, I'm in crisis. I know what to eat, how to eat, and I'm not doing well right now. Kept pushing. And guess what I ended up getting? The meds that I normally take. So you can't say that it can't happen. You have to advocate for yourself. But if you're talking about 3,000 people on the streets and they've been out there for so long, they're in survival mode.
Yeah. Yes.
So they're not going to be, and half of them don't have a phone. Well, probably more than half. So they're not going to, and then the ones that do are not in the mind space to Google what lithium is. So a lot of time it's just this. We're going to clean up this encampment. We're going to put you in a van and we're going to take you to a facility. And now here's your keys to your house. So once I got one of the same vouchers that I'm talking about and was able to go into this home and unlock that door, I had a counselor for about a couple of months. She would come over and check me out and make sure I have everything I needed. And then after a while, she was like, okay, Erica, won't be seeing me anymore. And I'm like, why not? Oh, no, we have to move on, blah, blah, blah. So again, we need long-term wraparound services. We need to make sure Miss Jones is okay. Mr. Jones is okay. He's a veteran. What can we do? And blah, blah, blah. And then also let's build in the wraparound service. So we need advocates who can maybe drive Miss Jones to her appointment because she can't drive. She can't get ID. Like, what is it that the individuals need? And so for me, when I see the big skyscrapers going up and I see all of the great, wonderful things that are coming to the city of Atlanta, I applaud that. I love it. I'm like, hey, let's go, soccer, football, basketball. I think it's great. But there is a section in the society, and a lot of times these are homegrown people who just may have lost their way, lost their family, lost a loved one, snapped. And here we are. But what do we do with them? So I just think long-term, short-term, long-term, but wraparound services needs to be expanded, looked into. And I would love to see if they start asking people who have used the services before or can really identify what the services look like.
Once again, Erica making so many points now. Let's say that like you and I we walk outside, we see an unhoused person and we randomly have a check to be able to put them into a house.
Okay.
But we don't do anything else. We just basically give them the money to go get a house.
Okay.
What would probably happen in that situation? It wasn't a very good hypothetical. What essentially I'm trying to say is, if you just give someone a house, but you have not addressed anything
That's right.
that got them in the position in the first place,
That's right.
you're not doing them any favors.
That's right.
You're giving them a handout
That's right.
as opposed to a hand up.
That's right. And 9 times out of 10, they won't make it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another reason why we want to not move from the unhoused, but we want to branch into our babies, because no one ever wakes up and say, "Oh, I'm going to grow up and be homeless," right?
Yeah.
But there is a section that is missing now. We don't teach in cursive writing anymore. We're Xing out so many things. Can't read this book. Can't do this. Can't do that. But there's a basic fundamental to living. And I think we should put that back into schools. You know, I don't know about you, but when I was little, we had the little cash register place. You count your money out and had your little coins and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think we need to get back to that, right? And even as kids get into the older, teens, really have those financial literacy courses and classes.
Yes.
Offer that to those who are unhoused. You know, I often think about having a day shelter, even if you don't want to do a full overnight shelter, right?
Mm-hmm.
But have something where you have a facility that people can come and take a shower, wash their clothes. And then over here, we got a whole financial literacy component. We have some mailboxes. We have some lockers. Anything that you can think of that will help a person be successful into getting back on their feet. This is what we should be doing. And so, no, don't just write a check and say, here's the house. Maybe you get, again, going back to the wraparound services, we have a couple of lawyers. We're going to start entrusting a trust fund. Ms. Jones, this is what you have set up. It's like, going to a job. You get a check every week. Well, and maybe we get someone to come in and sit down, just like you have people come in about your medication. You have nurses to come in and let's talk about where you are. Ms. Jones, I'll pay her rent, help her pay everything for about 6 months. And then we're going to do that. We teach you. And then we let you go a little bit at a time. But I just still think it's that conversation that we're not having. And then one of the things I do see, and again, I love Atlanta. Like I'm here for it, right? And a lot of people I've seen for so long, like out in the field doing the work. But there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect in handing that bag out of that box to, hey, I see Erica I post everything. I got 60,000 pairs of socks. We are actually a partner for Bombas. No one has called me yet. But you have seniors over here. You have kids over here. That is what we're supposed to be as a partner. So just as we have what we have, someone has this over here, bring us together. And then let's sit in a room and let's really talk about it. And then not just be one of those big, beautiful conferences where, you spend a lot of money on an expensive paper and you have good food, good chicken and rice, right? And you go home and then nobody's the next day in the cubicle talking about what we actually learned in the workshop. Let's sit down at that table and let's mix it up. So if AJC is over here and U First is over there and Home Depot is over here, mix them up. Nope. Half of Home Depot, go over here at U First. And so now I can listen to what you guys are doing at Home Depot. Let me see what's going on over here. And maybe I'll go back and tell my team, hey, did you know Home Depot had a program for X, Y, and Z? Because even when we're out, throughout the week, I'm getting notifications about job fairs, et cetera, because everyone who's out on the street are not homeless, who come to our table, who are not living in an encampment, right? But when we say the unhoused, we're talking about, I do get phone calls from people in corporations who the person has a job, they're sleeping in their cars. Or you have people who are working in a cubicle who's one check away from, hey, I'm about to be evicted. I actually ran into a situation a couple of years ago where I just got a part-time job, getting back on my feet. State was paying a portion of my rent. Well, I come home one day and I had an eviction notice on my door. I think, what the world? So it said I was 3 months back. And I'm like, no, I paid my portion, right? Called the office and it was like, oh, they haven't paid your portion. Okay, so now here we go. This is how the train wreck begins.
Mm-hmm.
Because did you not think the first month that the agency did not pay my rent to give me a call to say, hey, Miss Wright, I need for you to call your agency because they haven't paid your rent, right?
Mhm.
That could have been one. Two, when you got to the second, that's the third, but and before you put the letter on the door, we need to get this taken care of, Miss Wright, because we don't want you to be
Right.
back out on the street, because that's where I was headed, right? I actually still had to go to court.
Mm.
Although everything got worked out.
Yeah.
But even in the courtroom, I asked the judge, this is problematic for me because how many people actually come and have experiences and have a different outcome
Yes.
and they did not know. The other part of that was a lot of times if you're taking the people from the streets and you're putting them into a facility that they can't afford anyway, and you're saying pay a portion, then guess what happens if they don't, if the state or whatever the agency don't pay their portion?
Yeah.
You're responsible for the whole rent.
Oh, wow.
So don't put people in a $2,000 high rise
Mhm.
and you're paying a portion of it, and then you say, "Oh, well, we can't pay it because maybe there's a freeze on the money, which is from the government."
Mhm.
And then now I am left to pay. Problematic.
Yeah.
And then only that, what could have happened if I had gotten evicted? I've never had an eviction on my credit.
Mhm.
So now
Right.
here it is.
Yeah.
I'm not in the best shape, but I wasn't in the worst shape. So now you liably get ready to put me in a situation that I could never come back from.
Mhm.
So that's why when we see the line long and you talk about, oh, this is who I see, but this is who you see.
Mhm.
Why don't you come out and have a conversation with people to see how they got in this situation? But at the end of the day, it should not hold people back from wanting to help feed someone for today. I can't do anything if I'm hungry. I can't do anything if I don't have any shoes on my feet or clothes. Where do I wash my clothes? So if you come out with a new shirt, I'm going to have to discard it. It rained yesterday. What can I do with this?
Right.
So those are all the things that I think that are missing.
Mhm.
But until people actually, and I'm not talking about sit down with us and hear the story. I'm talking about sit down with us. Let's get a group of people. What can we actually do? Maybe, Erica, we can't do all of those things legally. This is a big city. We just can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're not going to tell me that we have so many open fields, so many properties that we're not using, undeveloped land that could just, Hawaii actually did do, they gave land to the people. They gave the land to the people. And let me tell you what the people did. They got in there, they pitched their tents, they built their little houses, they policed their own community, etc. They built their gardens. It can happen.
Yeah.
We just have to, again, find that resource and the people who are willing to be able to do it.
Hearing kind of your story, it strikes me that being unhoused is a lot like becoming a felon in the sense to where the system's almost seemingly designed against you.
That's right.
And it is so much easier to, like, once you are unhoused one time, it seems like it's really easy to go back into that
Of course.
situation.
Okay.
Just like, with people who are incarcerated.
And when you talk about the mental state, I mean, that is one of my biggest fears.
Mhm.
And again, people will say, well, you weren't homeless. You didn't sleep outside. I thank God.
Right.
But I have had stories where at one point I was in school. I was at Tech College. I got out of a bad relationship and, I'm going out there early in the morning and I'm sleeping in the car because I don't have nowhere to go when I come back on the other side of town, right? But it is what it is. And every day I'm thinking, let me make sure I do this and make sure I'm, and it is hard to run a business, work part-time.
Yeah.
I would love to be just the CEO and make some decisions and let the big chicks come in and do all the wonderful things that I would like to do, but I'm not there yet. So, and then there have been times where I'm like, well, I may have to close the doors because I got to eat because that's a place I don't want to see again. So it, and I really trust and believe that God is taking me through things so that when I see them, I can be better at helping someone.
Yeah.
Because now you got an eviction? let's talk about it. Oh, they didn't pay their portion. You need to call X, Y, and Z. Like, because now I have firsthand and knowledge of it.
People need an advocate.
They need an advocate. So that's where we are. But yeah.
And hearing so many folks' stories and how they kind of became unhoused, is there like I don't want to say a typical, but like what are common things that either happen, or maybe like, is it mental illness? Like what are like some of the big reasons why people end up becoming unhoused?
I think mental illness definitely is at the forefront. Also, I believe things like divorce on either side, death of family members, usually because even, my mom passed last. Grief is, on top of everything else that I got going on. Those are all components of things that can land you sitting on the side of a stoop, and then you see the sun go down and see the sun come up. And then now you're like, well, what I'm going to do tonight, right? Also, again, when we talk about, it's just not that person outside. It starts basically maybe the education level, right? Can't get a job, don't have a degree. I was reading something a couple weeks ago about AI, right? And they're saying, I think it was an article, a section on news where they were saying the veterans were at a workshop facility to try to get a job, and a lot of them didn't get it. So AI is basically kind of looking at your resume and those words that are kind of popping it out, right? And so now here you are, who may have people who are already on a thin line of getting a job per se, based on their resume. But then now you have this added, that if I throw this in the ring, it may not come back out just on something I wrote or miswrote, right? Yeah. And so not having a job is definitely at the top of the list. And then those who have a job, who are couch hopping, who hey, I'm separated. My wife put me out. I'm stay over here. And then one day, hey, my wife said you can't sleep on the sofa anymore. What do? So now you're in the car. They pull it up to the parking lot. You get ready to go to work every day. And then the security goes, hey, I noticed you've been here 2 days. You got to go. Now you're in Walmart. And then next thing you know, it's on and on and on. But one of the other things that I've noticed on social media, a lot of people are buying buses and campers and those type of things. But we've always seen that, especially in Silicon Valley and California. It's nothing to drive down the street and see an RV that's kind of blocked out. And, and people are living in their car. They're working Fortune 500 companies and walk across the street and get in an RV, and this is where they live. So, housing, when we go back to the initial question when we first started, what is a home? How do you grow up? 3 bedrooms and 2 baths was a home for us. Now home just may be a couple of square footage, even for me, I've learned to downsize things that I don't need. When we see people lugging things, it's hard to tell someone, you don't need all of that, because to them, this is all they have. And a lot of people don't like to go into shelters because they have to discard a lot of those things. Now to someone else, it's like, oh, this is junk. This is trash. We're going to throw it out. But to somebody else, it's like, this is my life. This is, my child drew this. And I remember my husband gave me this shirt or something like that. And now you want me to get rid of it. So, and then a lot of people have pets, and you have to decide what's best for me. So,
whenever Kaylin and I had first moved to Norfolk, we were staying in an Airbnb. And it was like super early in the morning. It was like 4:00, and like Camden had woken up, and so I was trying to get back to sleep, and I had to walk out to my car to get something, and there was a guy who was getting out of his car, but he had actually, that's where he was living. He and I made eye contact for like just maybe 2 seconds, but in that 2 seconds, I saw shame and I saw fear. And I remember him getting in his car, and then he left. That broke my heart. I was doing something so mundane. I just, whatever it was, I was just picking something up. But for that guy, that interaction that we had caused such a severe disruption to whatever routine that he had, to where he had to find something brand new.
Right.
And there was something about just like, like me just doing something that I'd normally do, and it like changing this guy's like life so much. Like
That's right.
that really took it.
That's right.
Really took it out of me.
Oh yeah.
And just to know that something is something as simple as like, where am I going to be able to like park my car?
That's right.
Is going to change based on just an interaction that I have with a random stranger.
That's right.
It's very
and safety.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
That's the number one thing, and a lot of times you'll find women parked in front of shelters, even though it's a men's shelter.
Yeah.
But because they know security is there, someone to be able to watch them, is safe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing. A lot of times because people view the unhoused as just commodity that's just inexchangeable.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
it is what it is. So, hey, and then you could find yourself in other dangerous areas like, prostitution and all kind of drug running and any kind of thing that you don't think of because, again, you're trying to survive. You got it. You have to eat every day. I don't care if you eat one piece of bread every day. You're looking for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're looking for that.
A community is only as strong
That's right.
as its most vulnerable population.
That's right.
And I think that is a very damning indictment
That's right.
on the U.S. in general.
That's right.
So I think, especially now in the current political environment, I imagine folks who would talk about assistance for the unhoused and saying, no, we don't give handouts.
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of, what do you see the difference between a handout and a hand up?
I don't see that.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
Yeah.
Because, again, we send a lot of money to other countries to do things that don't have anything to do with people living every day.
The exact opposite in Palestine. Actually. So,
right.
Yeah.
So for me, things that we waste money on could be a meal for 300 people for almost a year.
You mean we shouldn't pave over the Rose Garden and turn it into a Mar-a-Lago spoof?
Exactly. It's exactly what I'm talking about. That part right there. Like, I just believe that, again, this is America. Like, I go, I visit, I come home. Only thing I kind of take from the European is the relaxation, how everything is just, just chill, right? But the healthcare, even just this week, I got a prescription, not having insurance, and the lady said, "Hey, it's $600, right, for a heart medication." Then she came back. She put
which
a code.
Ironically made your heart weaker after,
right. Then she come back with a code, and it's like, "Oh, it's $47." Because I work, I could pay the $47.
Right.
But I often think about those who cannot, and so
it may as well be $600 at that point.
$600.
Yeah.
So it goes back to me to the humanitarian work. So when you talk about the administration that we have now, and all of the things that we talk about, we can go all the way down the list of everything that's going on. But when we talk about just simply caring about one another, I don't care if it's red or blue. What happened to us just giving it her?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Like, I care. I actually care. Like, at the end of the day, we're all humans, and we're doing something to keep America going forward, right? I work in the aviation field. Like, everything happens to make sure that those planes are up in the sky to take you where you want to go. And then you get to touch down and you get to do what you want to do while you're there, right? And that's how I view the world, right? So if you're at the grocery store and you're picking the peas, and if you're in the office and you're, connecting the dots with where the peas need to go to the grocery store, and, whether you're making the fabric over here, but we're all using a blanket, like, but I can't do that if I'm going to take your health care away from you. I'm going to take your medication away from you. And I don't want you to take Tylenol for this. a little jab.
Tylenol, circumcision. Yeah, I mean, I was going to be autistic from the start. Apparently,
it's almost like we can't think for ourselves anymore because it's not just Tylenol on the counter. There's a whole lot of stuff on the counter. Just like with food, you know, you got fruit, but you got potato chips. You make a choice. So I just feel like if we can get back to humanity, just that part of it, that I see you as an individual, whatever it is, as long as you're not hurting anyone. I can't even say legal or not legal because some stuff is legal that's not legal. Right? But they do it anyway. But if we could just get back to, you know, that part of it. You know, I remember growing up, the lady next door, if my mama needed some sugar, she would, you know, I don't even know my neighbors. I go in the house and lock the door. And they go in the house and lock the door. Like, I miss that part of community. I miss that part of how you were able, your kids were able to freely just walk up and down the street. And even like on social media now is the bullying. And if you put up an opinion, you know, well, I fed 5 people. Well, they're not hungry. They should have got a job. Like, it's just so much of that and it deters. And so I think the time we're living in right now, when we talk about mental illness and crisis, I think a lot of people are depressed. I think a lot of people are going through things that they're not talking about. And that's what's dangerous to me. So at least the people on the street that are having a few conversations around about with themselves, you can identify that, right? But when the scary part is that person is downstairs in the basement thinking about, I want to hurt somebody else because they don't look like me or they didn't do this. And because the top part is saying, it's okay. It's okay to do that. We're headed for some really scary times.
Why do you think there is sometimes a fear of other? You know, like that person looks different from me. That she's a threat to me. Why do you think that there is that frame of mind?
It's 2 things when I was coming up that I talk about now. One is I thank my parents for introducing me to God, right? Not quite church, because, you know, when I was little, I didn't want to go to church. Like, we in here all day. But the component of not just praying, it wasn't just like say the grace. It was listening to my mom, even when she was sick, she'd say, I'm fine, I'm okay. I know my maker, you know. Talking about, you know, when we never knew that there was not enough in the house, right? But hearing my mom say, we gonna make it, you know, all of those little things, you know, I grew up with, I learned as I got older. When I got a little piece of chicken and I'm gonna cut a little half of this and I'll save some for later. And I thank God for what I had, right? I believe, and when I was little, I remember how I learned how to swim. I was my parents couldn't swim. I think I was like 5, 4. Somebody jumped in the water and they were about to go crazy, right? So a Caucasian guy said, leave her alone. She'll swim. And as we were fortunate enough to go places, to the beach, there weren't a lot of Black people there, right? I played with all color kids. I didn't see that. Yeah. I saw a good time. We played in the sand. We played jacks, you know, whatever it was that we were doing. And that's how I grew up.
What I think is amazing, though, is that mindset is learned. Because I think that young children...
Exactly.
My son, he's 2.
Exactly.
He is going to talk to anybody that he sees. He doesn't know any difference. It's just there's a human that person looks like me. I bet I bet this person's going to love my shirt. Like that's all it is.
That's right.
But then somehow whenever you get older, that can kind of be seeped from you.
But that's what I always go back to, that even when people are not as kind to me as I am to them. But I stick with that because at the end of the day, we all in this together. And when my mom passed, the whole transition. I was actually in the room with her when she transitioned. So when people say life is short, no, sweetie, life is short.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen it firsthand,
Mhm.
right? So now I have a couple of things to take with me on the rest of my journey, right? I look back when I was younger and how things of that nature did not bother me. You know, I worked in when I was one of my first jobs was at Six Flags. Kids were from all over. Like we
Yeah.
just had fun. It wasn't about, you know, where you were from, what color you. It was just that kind of fun.
Or how much money you
Right,
have. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And so even working now in the industry I'm in, there are people from all over the world. And I'm excited about it because I get to learn, you know, different languages and food and, you know, the culture. And so that excitement spews over into my
Yeah.
walk with my purpose. And I always feel like if I can be that example
Mhm.
for someone else, even if someone is not treating me well, maybe they'll go home and say, well, that lady was really nice to me. But then also there's that whole component of what we're seeing now that's spewing out in the media,
Mhm.
how people are treating each other. And, well, she's going to act like that because I saw another young lady act like that towards,
Mhm.
and it's totally the opposite. So
Yeah.
maybe they'll go home and say, well, you know what? Everybody's not the same. Let me not do that.
Yeah.
And so again, but the biggest thing is when we go out, it is their situation. It had nothing to do with the color, anything of that nature. You know,
Mhm.
we in the other part about it, you see so much transgender people. They have nowhere to go.
Mhm.
They're not safe.
Yeah.
We were out surfing one day, and young lady scared me to death. Came from around the woods. I'm
Mhm.
like, where'd you come from? But because she didn't know who we were, she didn't know how kind we would be to her. She didn't want to come out.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so even just trying to find a facility, you have kids that run away because of their lifestyle and not having acceptance of it. So I tell anybody that come and volunteer with me, have a heart to serve.
Mm.
If it's anything other than that, we're not doing it. We had a guy come up. He wanted sanitary napkins. Volunteer said, well, yeah, what I said, give it to him. So when I leave, I only take my containers back. I don't want to take anything back because people are surviving. So whatever they need it for, he came up later. He said, thank you. He said, I had prostate cancer. I was bleeding from the rectum.
Mm.
Never in a million years would I have thought
Yeah.
that of that, right? So now it's like, damn, can I get some Band-Aids? Can I go get some this? Can I go? So we try to sack as much as we can because that goes back with what we're talking about. These are all basic needs.
Mm.
This is the beginning to everybody's day. What is the first thing you do when you get up? You go in the bathroom, you shower, you brush your teeth, you wash your face.
Mm.
Let's give that same courtesy to them. So for me, I'm not going to say I don't see color because I see some color.
Yeah.
But what I do see is I see human beings and we're all in this together and we're all going to leave and nobody's going to get in that casket or cremation or with you. So what can we do while we're here
Mhm.
to be that light that I always say the world needs? Because we need it.
There was a professional wrestler. His name's Cody Rhodes, and he's.
Oh, don't say that. That's my wrestling favorite.
Okay, well,
Cody Rhodes.
Do you know his wife Brandy?
I do know.
Okay, so his wife Brandy is black,
Okay.
and I think at one point he had said, I don't see color,
Mhm.
and what she said to him was, well, then you don't see all of my story
Mhm.
because like my skin color is
Right.
a part of my story,
That's
so
right.
you're kind of denying part of me if you're saying that you don't see that skin
That's right.
color. So I don't think that recognizing that someone is black or white or something,
Right.
but that is not in and of
That's
itself
right. Right.
racist.
That's right.
It's what you do with that
That's what you do with it.
information
Mhm.
that'll kind of, decide how big of a piece of shit you are, I guess.
Right. That's right. I agree.
And another thing you should have mentioned, definitely, I worry about the transgender community.
Yes.
My entire life, I felt like I didn't feel quite accepted
Mhm.
by my community,
Mhm.
but my community basically bent over backwards to make me feel comfortable,
Mhm.
because of who I was.
That's right.
And I can't imagine being in a position where I don't feel like my community accepts me
Mhm.
and then hearing from that community, yeah, no, we don't accept you. You're wrong. I can only imagine how psychologically devastating that would be.
It's devastating.
And to put someone that's already in a vulnerable position and then to try to put them even lower is just one of the worst things you can do to
I
me.
check off a whole lot of boxes. I'm a Black, part of the LGBT, you name it, that's my box, right? Mental illness. And I laugh and I chuckle sometimes. I say, God, you really did a number, right? But again, I could not sit here and share any of this with you. And even those experiences, the ones that were hurt outside of the community, and there is hurt inside of the community. And you're always constantly looking for your village, right? You're always constantly looking for that acceptance until one day I said, you know what? I don't need that. I don't need that validation. What I need to do is get up every morning and do the best I can with what I have, right? If you love me, great. If you don't, it's okay too. I still love you back. Right?
Yeah.
And that's my motto now. I just do it because, believe me, I ran every church in the city of Atlanta. I went over here, politicians and everything, just trying to, hey, look at, I'm over here. I want to help. I want to be a part. And that doesn't always work. But I will say this. There are communities out there that are looking for people to love on. Just like you first. That's why I believe God gave us the name You First, putting people first.
Yeah.
And so it could go from a wide variety, whether it's children, whether it's the LGBT community, whether it's men, women. It's so much work to do. Like if we spend so much time on creating more division. And it made me think when you were talking a minute ago about, I often say back in the day when the leaders like Martin Luther King and Andrew Young and all those people, honestly, we have to start getting a new, or not even new, but just people who can start taking a different range and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to pick that mantle up. Now, it's not going to be easy because you're going to get all kind of fire and all kind of sides. But at the end of the day, I know some people say, we don't need leaders. We do need leaders. We need leaders, but we need leaders to lead with compassion in their heart. I know you have the politics side of it and you have, checks and balances and all those things.
Well, you're supposed to have checks and balances in theory.
In theory. But there's nothing wrong with you coming out and rolling up your sleeve from time to time. You might not be the CEO like me that really want to go out there and hug on somebody and pray with them and, and actually have a whole conversation, but at least roll up your sleeve and don't just pass that bag out.
Yeah.
Stop that car. How are you today? What's your name? Like you asked me, where did you grow up? What's going on? What can I do to help you? Maybe something you can do or not, but there's just a long lineage of areas that he or she has the capability to help. And if you help that one family, that one family turn around and do something for somebody else, can you imagine?
It's that ripple. That's
that ripple effect.
We are getting close to your time limit, and I want to be respectful of your time.
I'm good.
But can you please, so if someone is wanting to find out more information about Project You First, or if they are, if they would like to get involved, what can they do? How can they find you?
We're on all social media links. Instagram, Facebook, everything is Project You First.
Project You First. Okay.
That is the word project, the letter U, and first, the word first.
Okay.
A lot of people like to put the U in there, but it's U, letter U, the word first. Also, our website is projectyoufirst.org. And we're always looking for help and volunteers. And I change around, not just volunteers, but when I say help, I laugh. I tell my people, I say, we need some youth. Yeah, we need some youth, but all good stuff.
All right. Erica, thank you
so
much for acting out with me. This has been a pleasure.
It's been amazing. Thank you. I had a great time.